no pun intended, episode 8. We made it 8 episodes. We let Matt back on the podcast. Thanks for joining, Matt. And Matt has a special announcement for us all. What's going on, Matt?
I'm excited to announce the Chess Goals Beating Beginners Move by Move course is going to be listed for pre-sale early next week. So if you're not on our email list, sign up for any of our courses on chessgoals.com. That'll get you on the email list. But I'm super excited about this course. It is 30 annotated games by beginners, and we break them down with a full PGN file. It's about 50,000 words of text, Jesse.
A lot of
Um,
text.
that Matt Herbert, Press to J, put together. And then we also worked with the beginner, David Ham, who gained about 250 points in the process of just creating the course,
Well,
and myself. So it was like the three of us working together on the text. And then I'm working on the videos. 17 of the videos are done out of 30. And with the pre-sale, you get all the current stuff. So the full PGN, get the 17 current videos. And then as the remaining 13 videos come out, they're just automatically added to your account. And then we also have a test your understanding position at the end of each game. So we go through, find the critical moment, and make you figure out, okay, what was the best move there or why? So I'm super excited for this course, and I think it'll be kind of like our recommendation for new players as a very first course to get you from that beginner level to what I would call the advanced beginner level.
yeah, for sure. And I think a big part of this course is you have to like as a prerequisite is you can't be just dropping pieces all the time. And it's like step zero in your chess development. I just played a game yesterday and I was playing this guy over the board and he was just hanging something like every other move. I'm like, you really got to not just drop a piece. And then once you're not dropping pieces, you can really make some good strides. If you're at that point, I think the course is going to be perfect for you. And while we're on the topic, we were just talking about courses that were coming down the pipeline. We have a one night of three course, a Nimzo Indian Part 3. We're considering an advanced London course. Matt wants to work on an endgame course once all the dust settles on the beginner course. He's also got some modern lines cooked up for the future. So a whole lot going on at Chess Goals, and we're also continuing to work on the trainer. We announced it, I think, in January. I think it might have even been the first podcast we announced it. But we have a lot of work to do on it before it's in a place where we're really happy with it. But we are making solid progress. We're introducing a guess the eval. It's kind of like a positional chess trainer, and I think that's going to be really fun. We'll start, advertising a little more once we get to that point. But enough about us. Matt has been reading a lot of chess books. What ones have you been liking, Matt?
So this is the first chess book that I've finished cover to cover, read every single word, looked at every single diagram that I can even ever remember. I don't know if I've ever read a chess book cover to cover. Ben Johnson's Perpetual Chess Improvement. Great book. Um, if I were to write a book on chess improvement, Jesse, it would be very close to the framework from this book. Like there was a couple minor things where I thought, maybe Ben would kind of present both angles on a topic, and I already had a kind of opinion one way or the other, but really no major gripes. In if you just want one easy to read book, like you don't need a chessboard to read this book. You can just keep it on your nightstand. It's about 230 pages. Highly recommend it. Ben Johnson's Perpetual Chess Improvement. So
Yeah,
that's what I
Ben, if you
finished.
yeah, awesome. Yeah, I was gonna say, Ben, if you happen to see it, we're love to have you on the podcast. You can give us all kinds of podcasting tips. We're new in the game. He's been like the OG chess podcast. Um, what's the book like? It's not like a book for studying chess, right? It's just like general improvement advice.
Yeah. So what it'll do is it'll talk about different topics, and then he'll reference podcast episodes and what some of his guests say. So he's interviewed a lot of adult improvers, and he's also interviewed a lot of coaches and titled players. So I'll give a rundown. I see in the chat, Carla is saying, can you do a rundown of the pages? I'll just talk about the major parts. So part one is the four pillars of chess improvement. Pillar one tournament games. Pillar two, analyze the games. Pillar three, calculation and pattern recognition. So that's calculation and tactics combined in one. Pillar four, coaches, chess friends, and mentors. And he mentions the Chess Goals Discord server in this book. Okay,
Does
so
he?
that's part
Nice.
one. Part two, other aspects of chess you may want to work on. So there he talks about openings, endgames, game analysis, visualization, speed chess, and other tactics. And then part three is working on your game away from the board. And this is kind of a cool chapter. I mean, he talks about habits. He talks about the Atomic Habits book. He talks about the book Thinking Fast and Slow. He talks about meditation and mindset in chess, playing against kids, how to prepare for over the board play, fitness, rest between games, um, a lot of different non standard chess book topics. And then part four, he talks about chess books, chess websites, how to use Stockfish, how to use Chessable, YouTube. And then the part five is just kind of wrapping it all up. Final thoughts on incorporating chess study into your life. So he talks about things like having kids and having a job and being busy and how he works on his chess. So really easy to read book, about 230 pages.
Well, yeah, I got to get myself a copy. I've been it's my backlog for books would blow everyone's mind. There's like probably 50 books on my backlog, but I think that one's going to go to the top. As soon as I finish this book I'm on, I gotta order it. Question, is he on the server? Yeah, I think he is. I think he's in the Discord, but he's not very active. I don't know if he's checked in a little bit. He's probably in a ton of them.
Yeah, he is in our Discord server. And he has his own server too for Patreons or
Yeah.
patrons.
Yeah, so if you didn't know, he hosts the Perpetual Chess podcast, and it's probably the biggest chess podcast around. He's interviewed, I think everybody. He's interviewed Feingold, Hikaru, Levy multiple times. Everyone who has a name in the Nat. He's interviewed you once or twice.
Once.
Once, okay, I was thinking twice, but yeah, anyone who's like in the chess scene, they probably have an interview with Ben. He interviewed, if you guys remember, this is one of his biggest episodes, and I think he talks about this one in the book. Andre Kershta, I believe you pronounce his name. He is just an adult improver, and he won his handle is from amateur to IM, I believe. And he basically went on this huge run going from maybe 2100 all the way up to like 2290 or something, like a huge run, and just kind of like documents his journey and what he studied, how to get there. And I just saw randomly, I was reminded of him because he posted on Twitter that he beat, I believe it was Eric Rosen in Title Tuesday, which is pretty cool. He's a title player right now, but I think he's a CM or maybe yeah, a CM, maybe an FM trying to get the IM title. And he does have one IM norm. One thing that I remember about that episode is he counts fitness as his chess training because he views
Ooh,
that as so important. So like if he does an hour on the bike or something, he's like, "Oh yeah, that's an hour of like chess improvement," which is really interesting.
I like that. So they're not necessarily competing against each other. It's still helping his stamina for chess.
Yeah, for sure. And I exercise more than I study chess by far, so maybe I've been getting better without actually getting better.
I think though, if you front load a chess book in front of some of your other reading items, I think that'll help.
Yeah, yeah, true. Do you have any favorite episodes from the podcast you can think of?
I have to admit, I don't watch a lot of chess content in general, but some of my favorite ones are when he interviews grandmasters. So,
Hmm.
like Jan Gustafsson, I always find those super entertaining. Ben
Yeah.
Feingold, I like those a lot. I don't get as much out of the Adult Improver series, but I do understand why people like them. But I prefer the titled players.
Hmm. Yeah, it's kind of cool when he has just nobodies on, just like people who like me, like you're married, you have a couple kids, maybe you're like 1400 and you make it to 1700. Like, how'd you do that? Like a lot of people just get stuck at 1400 forever and they never really get past that bump. Um, yeah, it's kind of cool. Ooh, Hans Niemann was on uh the Perpetual Chess podcast. Interesting. I have to go back and listen to that. I didn't catch that one. Yeah, I can see that was before the Sinkfield Cup thing. Hans continuing to make waves in the chess world.
I was
Um,
watching his daily videos for a while, but I think I gave it up around day 9.
yeah, he's on like 24, 25 or something like that. Good for him. It's interesting content for sure. A lot of it is just like game review though, and it's way over my head, and so I don't really get much of it. And it's not super entertaining. Like it's just kind of like instructional, which is good, but if it's instructional but it's way over my head, I don't get a whole lot out of it.
I kind of appreciate the way he talks about his games. I think he has a different way of thinking about positions than the standard player. And I think that's what makes it so confusing, but also kind of fascinating. Like he'll just make a move on intuition. Oh, this attack should just work. And it's like, well, why does it work? And then as he plays through moves, you can kind of start to unravel it, but it's not completely clear. He doesn't have just the straightforward thought process that you would think a GM would have.
Yeah, and I think that's why he has so many div or decisive games because he wins a lot and he loses a lot. He can have very
Hmm.
streaky runs and then runs where he punts off 20, 30 rating points. I wonder if that's like a big thing he's working on to be a little more concrete in those calculations and t very tactical positions. But this is a 1500 giving a super GM advice, so who knows?
I mean, if you
Um,
think of the average person that watches videos on YouTube, you got to make videos for your audience still.
yeah,
And if his videos are geared towards, I don't know, 2300 plus, it doesn't quite relate to the general public.
yeah. Are there other chess books you've been looking at recently too?
Yes. So what I've been trying to do is take the newest chess books that I have and work my way back into older chess books. So I'm not reading any other nonfiction books right now. I'm just doing chess. So I'm reading two books currently. I got both of these for Christmas. Street Smart Chess by Axel Smith. He's the author that wrote the Woodpecker book and Pump Up Your Rating.
Okay,
Both of those books I really like a lot. And what I have found that I like in books in general, Jesse, is when they're short.
I
So
guess.
even though it feels like, oh, I'm not getting much of a book for $30 or whatever the price, you can finish the book and feel good about yourself. Um,
Yeah,
so I'm reading this one, Street Smart Chess. It's he highlights different players, like how to beat high rated players. We talked about this a little in previous pod. How to draw high rated players, how to beat lower rated, how to never lose against lower rated. Each of those like combinations, he has like a model player and he interviews them and shows their games. And then I'm reading this book, which doesn't really require a board as long as you're okay looking 4 or 5 moves ahead from the diagrams. But this is more about how to control light and dark squares. And I'm really enjoying both of these books so far. The first one I use this one on my dining room table with a real chessboard to play through the games.
you should write a sequel to that one called Street Smarter Chess.
I like it. Yeah, it's better than Smart Chess. I like that a lot. Oh, you have
So
a fan
how
in the chat, Jesse. Abdul saying he watches a lot of our content. Some of the Carol Khan lines really helped him, like the Jesse line in the Tartakower.
Yeah, it's gotta be the Jesse line. So if you're not familiar, it's the Tartakower. We take on the doubled F pawns, and we basically get our bishop and queen battery lined up against the H3 square. They'll play pawn H3 to kick the bishop, and we just take, and it like almost always works, except when it doesn't. But it's a good way to at least secure a draw versus a high-rated player. But very often it's just like one move, like you bring your knight up to H5 or H4 or whatever, and it's just a deadly attack. And normally you have your bishop pointing towards H2 for a checkmate as well. I love playing those lines still. Anytime I can make that sack, I do.
It's one of the best lines in the course. I love the Tartakower, and that attack in particular is fun.
Yeah. It'd be fun to go over and just like review those on Chessable to see how much I actually remember of the Tartic Hour. It's been so long since I've really looked at the theory.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Bob G from our Discord just played an opponent who was prepped specifically for his Tartakower. Bob knew
Hmm.
which line he was going to play, and Bob came up with this pawn sacrifice. We can't show it because it's a podcast, but it was a beautiful pawn sacrifice that was only for positional compensation. And he showed me the game, and he ended up drawing this guy, but he was in a better position at the end. He was up like 1.5. This was a higher rated opponent. So he was able to take our course, know his opponent was prepping, prep his own novelty. That was a genius line, and he almost won. And he said at the end his nerves just got to him, and he was like, "Oh, higher rated player, I thought I should take the draw." I was like, "Bob, next time you got to crush that guy. That would have been the perfect finish."
That is amazing. You have to review that for a YouTube video. I want to see it.
That's a great idea. Yep, I'll plan on that.
Bob G, lifetime member and super fan of the show. We're big fans of Bob G. We got to highlight his game in our own course. What's better than that? That's good content. Um, all right, so I am like you though. For the longest time, I wasn't really watching any chess content at all. I think I got a little like overdosed on it, where it's like there's SCC, like you're watching all those matches, big tournament cycles going on, and now we're just kind of in a gap where there's not a whole lot going on like after the holidays, and everyone's just kind of waiting for the candidates. But I have recently found a few video formats that have been really fun to watch. One of them, I don't know who this is, but I think her name was Phoebe, and she was streaming her OTB game on Twitch. And it was a real USCF rated game, just like it looked like a local club. She's rated around like 1400, so right around me, and she was playing against a player who was maybe 1650, so like quite a bit higher rated. And her opponent played something like the hippo, where he basically did nothing with white and just like put all his pawns on the third rank, fianchettoed the bishops. And she was clearly better, but I got so invested in this game. I'm like throwing out moves for like what she should play and all these things. And I could like feel the nerves of like, I know that feeling when like you don't know if your move is good. You don't know if your position is good because, those positions are just kind of crazy. But it was just, I don't know, it was a really interesting game. And then I saw, what's her name? Is it Lula? Lula, I was telling you about this. She streamed a few of her games on um, OTB games on Twitch as well and had some GM commentating. And I think the game that I saw, she was doing very well and she basically had everything in the position, but her opponent had a very, I don't want to call it lucky, but a pretty lucky like queen maneuver resource that basically just gave him checkmate. And so she went from like winning to basically dead lost within just a couple of moves because he was able to get his queen in. But I don't know, this is so intriguing, such intriguing content to me because they're just like normal players my rating playing in these OTB games that I know are super high stress and like anxiety ridden. So I don't know. Have you ever seen any of these?
I haven't, but it almost sounds like, say you were there in person. It's like you're watching players in a soundproof box
Yeah.
with an audience and you're all able to discuss moves while they play. Is that about right?
Yeah, and I think what's so interesting about it to me is that with these super GM tournaments, I can't follow the chess. I'm just not a good enough player to understand these pawn sacrifices. I just kind of look at the eval. But for these OTB games, I can follow it. Like I know their ideas. I know kind of what they're going for. And so it's almost like my super GM tournament. It's my Tata Steel, like for my level. And I think that's what makes it so interesting.
So we had this thought. Let us know what you think in the chat. We're gonna get a video camera on Jesse playing OTB, the local club, and we'll get a camera going, live feed. I'll be in another room. I'll relay the moves onto a 2D board, and then we're gonna hook up a heart rate monitor strap to Jesse, display that as well, and we'll get the chat going during the game. And then afterwards, we'll bring Jesse in for an interview.
I don't know about that. We'll see it.
Oh, people love it. Look at Dennis. Come on down, Jesse. He's ready. Our
we
tournament director.
We have our club TD in the chat. Dennis, would it be okay to stream the game like from my phone? I don't know.
Yeah, why not?
See what
As long
see
as
what
you're
they
not looking
say.
at any of our analysis while you play.
Yeah.
He
Okay,
said,
I'll have to like convince my opponent to allow it or something.
"I'll play you
I don't know.
if no one wants to. I'll play you."
Look, that wouldn't be so fun, I don't think. Not for
It
me, at
doesn't even
least.
have to be rated. We could do on, you could do it unrated. Like have
Yeah,
someone your level and do a match against them. Like, oh, we're just
that's
gonna do two
true.
games, one of each color. Be a lot of
That'd be
fun.
kind Yeah, that would be kind of fun. Okay, we'll throw it in the pipeline for ideas. Um, and then yeah, just today there's the Prague chess tournament going on too. Um, and the Botez sisters were both playing. They were playing up like 400 or 500 rating points, so they didn't have much of a chance to hold a draw or anything. But that's the same type of thing, but the chess was a little above my level. So not quite the same. Another chess event that is going on right now with chess.com is, I believe it's called like the Team Chess Tournament or something like that. Do you know about this one, Matt?
I watched a couple parts of a couple of the matches. Yeah, two versus two.
Yeah, so the one that I watched, I only watched one. It was Levy and Hikaru versus it was Eric Hansen and I think Jordan von Forest. And that was a very interesting game. Or I guess like 3 games. It was kind of like so Levy was making all the moves and Hikaru was just kind of in his ear and they're talking strategy the whole time, but it was almost like if us two were playing. It reminded me a lot of that old video we did where we played the Danny Wrench bot on chess.com
Oh yeah.
because I was making the moves and we were talking about like strategy and stuff, but it was like really you in control, and Levy was just kind of like making the moves. It was very interesting. They played a Carocon the first game that was pretty similar to the Caro course, and it was interesting to see their thought processes. This is very high level chess, so they basically just sat and maneuvered their queen back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and there was no progress to be made at all. And they took a pretty easy draw without ever seeing any pressure. Um, it's also really interesting to see Hikaru when they're being attacked. He can just like analyze and just kind of like call BS on the attack and say, yeah, there's nothing really here, so we can just kind of ignore it. Like for me, I'm always trying to respond to these attacks, and Levy's like, I'm so nervous. What if they play bishop here? He's like, yeah, you just push your pawn. What's next? There's no big deal. And just seeing him so calm under pressure against super GMs, it's crazy.
So here's a question for you. What if they took this format? So you said you like watching players close to your level.
Yeah.
What if they had players around your rating and each had a GM or other titled player, probably a streamer, who they could sort of like check in with every 5 moves? Would you like something like that where Hikaru comes in and says, okay, it's Hikaru and Jesse on one team, but maybe he's not there every single move, so he can't control the game, but he pops in and gives feedback. What would you think of that format?
Yeah, I think that'd be great because if you could only check in every 5 moves, you'd constantly be like going over your opponent's plans and how to respond to them, your opponent's threats, your threats, what to do if they like play a check or like start trading a bunch of pieces. I think that would be, I think that'd be a really good format for sure.
Because I love the idea of the lower rated player going first and like saying, here's all my thoughts,
Yeah,
and then let's critique it from the higher rated point of view.
yeah, for sure. I wonder if we could do this with us. We'd have to get someone to play against, but like I'm making the moves and then I can like consult with you every few moves. That'd be interesting. Yeah, some other people saying they saw the games with Levy, extremely high level play by Hikaru and Levy. Yeah, it really was. It was very good chess games. And I remember there was one time scramble, and it was a very tactical, very sharp position. And Hikaru's like, oh yeah, just play like Queen F3 was the exact move. But they had like 2 pieces hanging and just like a ton of tension in the position. And I'm like, how does this make sense? How does this work at all? And then I reviewed the game after, like with Sockfish, and in that exact position, Queen F3 was like by far the best move, but there was no like quick quick follow-up, quick threat. It was just like a very intuitive move to continue the attack and not take anything back. And Hikaru just like finds it in an instant and plays it intuitively. It's so impressive how they can do that.
And I
Yeah,
think,
his calculation, yeah, they said it in chat. Hikaru's calculation was
yeah.
crazy in that time scramble. It's like that's what separates him from, I think, about everyone else.
What percentage of the effort would you say was from Levy versus Hikaru? Like 80-20 Hikaru or
Probably maybe even more Hikaru, honestly.
okay.
Levy had some good ideas, but he was always unsure of himself. He had to get like Hikaru's sign off for most moves. But he did throw out some good ideas for sure, and a lot of his analysis was right.
I think it would almost be nice then to watch players a little bit similar in level. I mean, Hikaru, he doesn't have many people similar to him, but like I was watching the Hess and Naroditsky match,
Hmm.
and I just saw part of one game where they beat Svidler and Jan Gustafsson, and I really liked that because it was, Peter's stronger than Jan by a little bit, but like those two are both really strong GMs, and then
Hmm.
Hess and Naroditsky are pretty similar level as well. So it wasn't like either player was dominating on either team.
Yeah, that'd be different because when they're both the same strength, they're like working together to find the right ideas and like checking everyone's calculation. With Hikaru, it's almost like playing with an engine.
Yeah.
Like like you're asking Hikaru, like, is my analysis right here? And then you just trust that his analysis is correct. It's
And
crazy how strong he is.
and there's sort of like a game theory, interesting angle too, where, probably Hikaru should just speak out loud all of his thoughts, and then Levy only says something if he's like, wait, did you consider this? Just kind of like a blunder check.
Hmm.
Because if Hikaru has to answer too many of Levy's questions, really it's just burning clock where Hikaru could be thinking about his own lines.
Yeah. And do you know the rules in this? Like who has to play the moves? Is it the lower rated player?
It seems like that's been the case, but I don't know if that's an official rule.
Because that would make sense. If it was just Hikaru like making the moves, like what would Levy even really be doing?
Right. And that's probably why they do it. So maybe if it's a time scramble, the lower rated player might have to like jump in and make a couple moves on their own.
Yeah. I don't know. And yeah, at the end, Levy said that he thinks Hikaru could have done better with only him playing and just throw Levy out of the picture entirely. And I
Yeah.
kind of think that's right.
I saw something where they said, who were the opponents again?
It was Eric Hansen and Jordan von Forest.
Oh yeah, I saw something that said that the chess pros maybe were a little upset by that comment. I don't know, this is just like a Reddit thing. But it's
Well,
like, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, Hikaru alone with time, time pressure, he's probably stronger than playing with Levy.
oh, I think for sure. Because with Levy, he a lot of their communication back and forth was just like them getting down on the clock.
Yeah.
Like I don't think Hikaru gleaned a ton from what Levy was saying, or like I don't think there was too many times when Hikaru recommended a move and then Levy said, "No, actually, this one's better," and then it was.
You know, it's actually kind of an interesting thing. It would be cool to see a tournament where all the players are similar rating. Like, let's say they're all 1700s, but it's a rapid event. Let's say you get 10 minutes plus a, whatever increment. Are two 1700s actually stronger than one 1700? I'm not sure. Because with that time on the clock, a lot of chess is like you kind of have your intuition, your instincts, and you play down paths and positions where your brain feels comfortable.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of moves where they're very similar in eval. So if we're doing like Jesse's move on move A, and then the next move B, it's like your teammate's move, and then your move on C. At a certain point, it's like you're kind of just jumbling thoughts, and you might be stronger individually on average.
Yeah, I think at 1700, enough games, yeah, like what they're saying in chat, like a lot of the games are still decided by blunders. So you
Hmm.
would at least have two sets of eyes on like, okay, you can't play this move because they take your knight or whatever. So you at least bouncing those ideas off each other, I think would be a big advantage. But maybe once you get up to like your level, like 2200, that's probably the sweet spot where one would be better against two because NMs would just be like bickering about subtleties or something, and the other guy's just like, yeah, I don't know, I'm just making my moves.
Yeah, I know you might be right. That'd be very an interesting thing to figure out. Well, this is a bit of a tangent, but when I was college age, I played in these freestyle chess events. This was before the GOAT freestyle chess event. But what they were was we would play on the Play chess server. This is Chess chess server. You could use your what I mean, you not you could. You were supposed to use an engine plus a human or a team of humans. You could use everything you wanted. You could have multiple engines. And my friend Sean Eaton and I played in a few of these events and we did pretty well. But essentially, what you would do is exactly what we're talking about. Like he'd be running Ribka and I'd be running, what was the other engines at the time?
Brits.
Might have been Fritz. And then we would be like, okay, I have this idea. Ribka says this. Well, Fritz says this. Well, let's play down that line. Oh, but there's this other idea. Or what if we throw in this human thought? Could that influence what the two engines think? And it was really fun because it was fast paced and going through multiple engine lines. And at the time, the engines were strong, but they were like engines could beat each other quite often. It wasn't like now where, stockfish versus stockfish, you probably can't add anything or add much from a human level. But
Hmm.
that team chess aspect was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. It reminds me of the have you heard the Correspondence Championship?
ICCF, that one.
I'm not sure what if that's right. But it's just like basically you get a week to make your move and you can do whatever you want to make the best move.
Yeah,
And you basically some people have like supercomputers and they just run stockfish for, you know, 4 days to find the best move. Probably once you're out of the opening or something. But it seems similar to that.
I think it's ICCF. It's like the International Correspondence Chess Federation. They allow engines and anything goes. So essentially those players are playing almost perfect chess. It'd be pretty hard to not draw a game, I think, but I don't know all the rules. Like maybe they have to do tricky openings or something.
Yeah, like force them into playing in England or something like that.
Yeah. Abdul saying the Magnus prank video got him. That's still like our featured video, I think, on the channel page.
Oh, the April Fool's prank.
Yeah.
And remind me, what game was it that you?
Hans beating Magnus.
Oh yeah, that's
I was
right.
playing as Hans against a fake Magnus account on chess.com using a little video editing to make it look like Magnus.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. Then the behind the scenes, we had JD playing as Magnus. So we had our
Oh
script ready
yeah.
to go. We had all the moves.
Hmm.
So we were actually playing a blitz game. That's why the clock is going down. And then I'm pretending that I'm just playing my own moves and he's just relaying the Magnus moves. So that was a lot of fun.
I have a recommendation for a chess event from my brother. He says it's team chess, so it's 2-on-2, but every 10th move, you have to take a random move from someone who doesn't know how to play chess.
So
I think it
Spencer's
just
gonna play.
yeah, I think it would just get decided by which random move is not worse, because game would be over, I think, if you just hang your queen.
Oh, do you remember maybe you haven't seen this, but Sinkfield Cup had like that event where they had two teams of GMs and they would rotate in. And I think each GM got to play is either three or five moves. And they
I
would sort
remember
of tag
something like
team.
that. Yeah, I remember something like that. Uh, I don't actually think I watched that, but I remember seeing some like behind the scenes footage of it.
It'd be
Because
cool to do.
Hikaru was there, right?
Yeah, 2-on-2 version of that would be kind of fun. Five moves
Yeah.
each and keep switching.
Yeah, that'd be interesting for sure. Can you communicate between moves?
I don't think they were allowed to for that event.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, lots of different ideas for for videos that we could make even.
We should do a live OTB Bughouse stream. That would be fun.
That would not even be followable.
Yeah,
That'd be crazy.
classical Bughouse.
Yeah. I have been approaching my peak, kind of at my peak in Blitz lately, I feel like. I randomly hit like 1720, 1730, maybe like 6 months ago. And then I dropped to maybe like 1650, 1670. And that's kind of where I've been hovering since. But in the last month, I've hit 1700 and I've stayed there like over 1700 this whole time. And I tied my all-time high twice,
Ooh.
but I haven't actually. But then I lost my next game. But I'm feeling good about it, and I've been studying a little bit more on Chessable. So I'm hoping to play an OTB tournament here before the baby comes. And I haven't actually played over the board since like May last year. Like it's been a long time.
Um, if Dennis is still in the chat, maybe you should tell him your idea. Upcoming event.
What idea?
You wanted to get a over the board classical tournament going in March?
Yeah, yeah. Dennis, if you're here. We should do a OTB slow event in March. I have to check, but I think it should work. Matt, what are your thoughts on the Hippo opening?
Kind of fun. I mean, I don't think it's that great for black, but it's kind of fun to I like those style openings.
Uh, is that where you basically like fianchetto both bishops, put the knights on the second or seventh rank? Is that right?
Yep. So I have my Queen Odds account. I have a
Yeah.
chess.com account where I sack my queen every game and then just play blitz. I do the hippo setup every single time. And then I wait to see which way they castle, and then I try to shift all my pieces towards their king. But it's
Well,
it's a fun system to play because you just react. You don't make any big weaknesses and you see what your opponent does. And you don't have to memorize any theory at all.
yeah. What's your rating on that account? It's like 14, 1500,
Never 1500. It's probably right around 1400.
right on 1400.
3-0 blitz.
Oh, 3-0 Blitz. Matt likes to send me some of his highlights. They're really fun. Like a random like discovered checkmate.
So
Did you know that GM Hammer once checkmated Magnus Carlsen with En Passant?
no.
I'll have to find a game. I'll try to link it in the show notes.
Um,
Yeah, I think Matt should make videos on Queen odds, don't you think?
I think it's fun. I don't think the viewers would really enjoy watching it that much. Because I did a poll. What was the poll on the next live stream? And one of the topics was Queen odds games, and it got 2%.
Ouch.
Like one vote out of 50 or something crazy. So I don't think anyone really wants to watch that. Oh, what about a Saturday, Jesse? Or do you prefer Tuesday nights?
Yeah, weekends really don't work that well for me.
Opening repertoire. What would be the most condensed, smallest to study repertoire? I mean, actually playing something like the hippo for black, you could play the hippo for white even. I'd say if you want something super easy, you could do hippo for both colors. Just learn how to move the pawns up on the right squares, knights, bishops out, castle, and play chess.
Yeah. Future hippo course. The anti-opening course.
The 10 line
Um,
hippo. That could be we should do a free hippo course, actually. That's a great idea.
yeah, we could. My very first chess repertoire, I played a D4 London with white, so that's half my games. And then against E4, I was playing the Scandi, and against D4, I was playing just like D4 Slav setups. And that wasn't too bad to learn. That's maybe a couple hours of review, and you can go through your whole repertoire. So that's a good starter repertoire. Now I would for sure recommend the Caro-Kann. Um, Against D4, you can go a bunch of different ways, but probably like D5, like a Slav or a note boom type of thing is probably what I would go for.
Yeah. Yeah, I like our triangle Slav setup still is pretty easy to learn. There's a couple tactical lines, but it's not bad.
Yeah, not too bad. Just so you guys know, you should never play openings named after animals. That's the chess rule of thumb. There's
Well,
the hippo, the bird, the what's the other one that just got played? It's like the gorilla or something.
what's your stance on the Sicilian dragon?
Dragon's not an animal.
All right. Well, that's why I had to ask.
The skunk. Yeah, never play the skunk. Never play the feline. Never play the baboon. Baboon is a terrible opening. Yeah, the elephant gambit, that's a real one actually. Don't play that one either. Although the hyena gets really sharp with the knight h4 sidelines.
You know, I thought I knew some openings, but these are all just like flying right over my head. I have no idea what you're talking about at this
I've
point.
made up like all of these. I
Oh,
don't think
did you? That's okay. You got me
I
good
don't
then.
think
I'm
I
like,
don't
I
think
don't
there's a
know. I have no idea what that is.
You haven't studied the hyena?
No, the Black Lion, that's a good one. It got Dennis too. Yeah, that was good,
Yeah.
Jesse.
You guys are believe me too much.
They're not going to after last week with your over the board chess story, and then
Yeah,
now you're
that's true.
just
That's
making up
true.
all these opening names.
Yeah, I believe the gorilla was a real one, but I'm not sure.
I don't even know if I can believe that comment right there. Oh, Lula Robs played 1b4 for a while. There is something to be said for some of those like surprise weapon systems, like 1b4. Even
Is that
1b3 is quite effective. But I wouldn't
is
play 1g4. That's one I wouldn't really recommend. But f4,
B is
like we have
B4 the
Justin.
Grob?
B4 is the orangutan, I think.
No,
G4 is
another
Grob.
animal.
That's right, yeah. But B3, I think that would be fun to play, actually.
Yeah, they've got
Actually,
a lot of there's a chessable course on playing 1B3 and I got a lot of hype around it for a while.
is that Audubon or who wrote that course?
I think so.
Okay, Audubon's a super aggressive player with like beautiful attacking games. That would be a cool course, his 1b3 course. I mean, I know
Yeah.
we're not supposed to pump chess both courses, but that'd be a cool course.
We're chess fans at heart, so I'm not sad to recommend another course. Um yeah, it really is amazing how expensive those chessable courses are.
One
All
A3
right.
course. We need a free
One
course on every first move, Jesse.
1A3, 1A4.
The Bond Cloud.
Yeah.
Actually, that would be a great free course. Everyone's first opening. 24, 2 King E2. Oh, I should mention we have links in the description. You can sign up, podcast sign up form. So, like tonight, we sent an email about the podcast starting. We don't do that every week, but if you want additional podcast emails, there's a sign up form in the description. Just drop your email in that form. If you're interested in live stream classes, like we just had one this past Sunday on the minority attack, there's a link for that. There's a separate little Google form you can fill out. And then if you don't have any chess goals courses, the free study plan course, also linked in the description. That's a really good one to start with.
Yeah, and if you guys didn't know, all of our paid courses you can try out for free. And so if you just want a quick sample to see what it's going to be like, you can try them all out for free. And if you hate it after you buy it, you can return it for no questions asked.
Yeah, we're pretty flexible with that, and we're quick to get back to you too if you have any questions.
Yeah.
Thanks, Abdul, for coming. Oh,
Matt, are
I'm
you
not
live
coach.
coaching one-on-one?
I'm not live coaching one-on-one, but if you're in our Discord server, um, most of our course authors are offering some coaching with limited availability. But if you are not in our Discord server, send me an email and I'll get you a link to come in. But our coaches have very reasonable rates. And if you follow our courses on your own as part of your repertoire, it's a great pairing for a coach. Yes, we are, Cody. That will be in the email coming out next week. So stay tuned. But there is definitely going to be a pre order special on the Beating Beginner Move by Move course.
All right, everyone. As always, thank you for supporting. Thank you for watching. If you could give us a like or a review, greatly helps us out a ton. Thank you all for watching. We will see you next episode. Bye, everyone.